All right, so let's do a basic calculation here. Assuming we are open raising to 2.5 big blinds and we're willing to 3 bets us to 7.5 big blinds, so this is 3x of the initial open raise. And if we're out of position, we want to 3-bet around or a little bit less than 3 times his 3-bet sizing. So if he 3-bets to 7.5 big blinds, we want to 4-bet to around 18 or even 19 big blind. So that means we are risking 15.5 big blinds to win 12 big blinds. So we need around 56.3% forward equity. By the way, also the same calculation you can use for 3-betting. And you have to consider that when we 4-bet, our opponent is rarely going to call, especially when he's out of position. So we're barely going to play a flop. So the thing is, he has to fold more than 56 or 57% of the time. But if you're deeper, and especially if you're 4-betting out of position, your opponent can definitely call you, especially when you're making it to 18 big blinds. It's the minimum 4-bet sizing you should use, or you should apply. And if we, let's say we're opening from under the gun and we're facing a 3-bet from middle position and we want a 4-bet, look at MP's 3-betting range. Even his bluffs are so strong, like King Jack suited or King Queen suited or Jack 10 suited, that against a 4-bet he wants to see a flop, especially when he's getting good odds. I'm not saying that I would advocate a play like this and peeling 4-bets with Jack 10 suited or Queen Jack suited, but that's what people do in these days. So if we take a look at the MP 3-betting range, and this is, for example, here 3-betting range. So we have the dark red hands, which are 3-bet for value, and we have those light red hands as a bluff. And if we look at the frequencies, he's 3-betting for value 2.56% of the time, and as a bluff 1.51% of the time. And you can immediately see that his value hands, and this should, by the way, always be the case, that you're 3-betting more often for value than as a bluff. And here we're never gonna have the 56% forward equity. So I even choose the pretty small sizing here. So let's say we 4-bet to 20 big blinds, we need even more forward equity, but it doesn't really change that much. Maybe we probably need around 60% forward equity then, but this is never gonna happen. So you really want to be sure that someone is 3-betting a lot and he has a lot of bluffs. And you either want to see a hand, him 4-bet bluffing like completely out of line. So maybe a hand like he was 4-betting a hand like ace 4 suited or ace 5 suited, right? And that position. And additionally, he also has a fairly high 3-bet stat from this position. But other than that, 4-betting as a bluff is something you definitely want to avoid most of the time, yet you want to mix it up a bit here and there and have a few 4-bet bluffs, especially if you play higher stake, you play against good opponents, you have aces, you have kings, you have queens, you have ace king in your 4-betting range, then it's totally fine. Also here, I mean, totally fine to have 4-bet bluffs here and there, don't get me wrong. A really good question here, and this is more for 3-betting. Let's assume against someone who folds 60% to 3-bets, do we have auto profit? Assuming that we need 56% fold equity. Yes, I know that this was a calculation for 4-bets, but this is just a question where I want to point you in the direction of, guys, you have to consider the players sitting behind. So let's assume mathematically we need 56.3% fold equity, and then there's someone, we have a very high sample size and he folds 60% to 3-bet. He's in P, we are in the cutoff or hijack, do we have auto profit? Here, this is the point, depends which position we are 3-betting from. So assuming we are 3-betting from the hijack, we have 4 players left to act who also can wake up with a hand. And this happens 2 to 3% of the time. So 4 times 3 is 12%. And if someone is capable of 4-bet bluffing or cold 4-bet bluffing, then it's even more, let's say 13 or 14%. So his 4 to 3-bet stat of 60% minus the likelihood of someone is waking up with a hand behind us, then the true 4 to 3-bet stat here is actually only 47. So this 4 to 3-bet set is actually very accurate, or you can use right away when you're 3 against the button or blind versus blind. So the less players are sitting behind. So you're on the button or on the small blind or on the big blind. But the moment you're 3-betting from the cutoff, you already have 3 players sitting behind, and you really want to 3-bet very light against someone who has a reasonably high 4 to 3-bet stat. Of course, we shouldn't forget that we still have equity. So if called, it doesn't mean that the hand is over. We can still hit something, even with our bluffs. And we should always choose bluffs that can somehow flop something, either a straight, a flush, or a good pair. So low suited aces, suited connectors, or suited broadways. But this was topic of the 3-bet video, and you should have watched this before watching here this video, because it goes hand in hand with facing 3-bets.